Hi, my name is Terry, and you're watching Terry Tells the Story. There's been something on my mind that's been bothering me for years, and I had started reaching a point where I was genuinely tearing my hair out trying to understand it. I was completely confounded by a glitch in human history that shouldn't be possible. I'm talking about 19th century London. That era was the peak of the Industrial Revolution, the birth of the modern world. Yet people were dying by the thousands because they were drinking their own sewage. And I really cannot wrap my brain around how that was possible. How do you unknow the most fundamental advancement in human history? How do millions of people collectively lose a survival skill that was already common knowledge thousands of years before they were born? To understand why this drives me so crazy, you have to look at the sheer graphic scale of what they were choosing to ignore. Let's talk about what it actually meant to die in 1850. If you were living in London, you lived in constant terror of cholera. They called it the Blue Death, and for good reason. It wasn't just a stomach bug. It was a violent, rapid dehydration that turned your blood into a thick black sludge. Your skin would lose all its elasticity and turn a ghostly, bruised blue while you were still conscious. You could be perfectly healthy at breakfast and a blue, cold corpse by dinner. And if you were poor, the hospital was just a waiting room for the grave. Because they didn't understand how disease spread, the wards were a chaotic mess of overcrowding. You would see 2 or 3 dying people crammed onto a single filth-soaked mattress. Caretakers, exhausted and covered in vomit and waste of the dying, would move from a dead body to a new arrival without washing a single thing. And if cholera didn't get you, typhoid would. Typhoid was a slow, agonizing burn. A fever so high it caused your intestines to bleed internally until you descended into a muttering delirium. The air in those rooms was a thick physical weight of sweat, rot, and the iron scent of blood. This wasn't some mysterious act of God, it was a biological slaughterhouse. But the center of this whole confounding situation was the River Thames. London had grown too fast for its crumbling sewers, and every single drain led directly into the river. By 1858, the Thames wasn't water anymore. It was a black fermenting soup of raw human sewage, animal carcasses from slaughterhouses, and industrial chemicals. It was so thick with waste that during the Great Stink, the smell was a physical wall of rot that you could detect for miles. There are literal accounts of people trying to row boats across the water only for their oars to get stuck, not in mud, but in the solid sludge of human feces floating on the surface. It was a biological weapon. And yet, and this is the part I can't wrap my mind around, every single day the city's water companies would dip buckets into that black sludge and deliver drinking water straight to the homes of the people. They were serving up cups of liquid death, and for decades, the smartest people in the world just watched it happen. This is the part that's driving me insane. We already knew better. This wasn't a new discovery. The ancient Greeks had mastered complex drainage. The Romans had the Cloaca Maxima, a massive, sophisticated sewer system that kept the city clean, and aqueducts that brought in pure water from miles away over 2,000 years prior. The ancient Egyptians knew to bury their waste in the dirt to keep the Nile pure. In the Americas, the Aztecs and the Mayans had waste removal systems so efficient that Spanish conquistadors were shocked by how much cleaner those cities were than anything in Europe. Humanity had figured out that you don't urinate and defecate in the same place you drink on almost every continent on Earth thousands of years ago. So how did the most advanced empire of the 1800s completely unknow a discovery that the ancients had already perfected? How do millions of people collectively hit the delete button on survival? I mean, you can understand one person forgetting. We've all had a night where we wake up and we can't remember a fight we had or a conversation, but humanity isn't one guy. We are millions of guys. If I forget, you're supposed to remember. So how does a whole species lose its memory at the same time? I never understood how that intellectual regression was possible until I saw it with my own eyes in 2020. Watching the anti-vax movement rise was the first time I felt a sense of relief. Not because it was good, but because it finally explained the mystery. It showed me exactly how we do it. Look at polio. Not that long ago, polio was the nightmare of every parent. It paralyzed children. It put them in iron lungs for the rest of their lives. But we fought back. We developed a vaccine. Everyone believed in the science, and we essentially eradicated polio from the face of the earth. It was a total victory. But then, suddenly, we saw this resurgence of people saying, actually, no, vaccines are bad. Just like the historians forgot about safe sewage, we collectively forgot that vaccines are the only reason why we aren't seeing iron lungs in every hospital in America and in the world. And honestly, we're worse than they are. In their defense, the Victorians forgot something that happened 2,000 years ago. We managed to unknow a miracle that happened only one lifetime ago. There are people still in the United States Congress today who almost died of polio as children. It's not ancient history, it's a living memory. If we can forget polio while the survivors are still walking among us, we aren't just as stupid as the people drinking from the River Thames. We're actually much, much worse. This is why the transition to misinformation is so terrifying. If we can unknow clean water and we can unknow vaccines, then every single discovery is on the chopping block. Think about Ignaz Semmelweis. You may not know that name, but he's the father of hand washing. He proved that if doctors just washed their hands, they stopped killing their patients. He was mocked, hated, and even thrown into an asylum for it. We think we're safe now because we all agree on hand washing, but are we? We all agreed on vaccines before they became politicized, and look what happened with those. If we keep following this path where opinion outweighs evidence, I can see the conversation we'll be having in 20 years. We'll have a movement of people claiming that microscopic germs are a myth, and that hand washing is just a government conspiracy meant to dry out your skin so they can sell you more lotion. It sounds ridiculous, but so does drinking from a sewer. Once the unknowing starts, it doesn't stop until we're back in the dark. If we don't protect the truth, we lose the future. So today's Spanish lesson is la regresión. La regresión. And what that means is the regression. If you liked this video or you learned something new, drop a like down below. If you have a specific topic that you'd like to see me cover, drop me a comment. And if you'd like to support this work that I do, there'll be a link to the Cashapp in the description box below. We'll see you next time.